49ers defense, they were lights out against Seattle. Not much of a surprise going against Drew Lock, but I think they were sound. I did miss a ton of tackles. I'll highlight a few. I want to show the secondary, and I'll start with them, and then I'll go to the front seven. So here's Charvarius Ward to the bottom of the screen. He only played 4 games, so we were talking about Deommodore Lenoir, Ambry Thomas, and Isaiah Oliver at corner for much of the game. I wonder if on this play, Ward, I don't know, if maybe this is where he hurt his groin, just kind of turning and running, because on the next play, he really didn't do so. But, I mean, the real story on this play was not only did they get their hands on a pass and not catch it, but Ji'Ayir Brown, middle of the screen, he was all over the place. And honestly, if he keeps his balance on this play, he probably has an interception. As you know, he was able to get one later on in the game, but I think 27 has a chance to be really special. I think the way that he sees the game is unlike a lot of safeties who have been playing for 7 years. So let's talk about the secondary. Let's talk about how the corners reacted. And then, of course, we'll hit on Ji'Ayir Brown quite a bit. All right, so this is the first third down of the game where you don't have Charvarius Ward. So as you can see to the bottom, it's Deommodore Lenoir on the outside. He's usually right here. So we have Isaiah Oliver one-on-one against DK Metcalf. Metcalf ends up releasing vertical, so Oliver ends up taking Tyler Lockett. It's actually not terrible coverage, all things considered. And I only say that just because, so Lockett is outside of the numbers right now. That's a long throw, and they're able to complete it. So, I mean, in a sense, you want Oliver to stay close, right? Get sticky, as they say, to the wide receiver. But I would say it was just a better scheme, better design. I think the overarching point is the 49ers, they found a way to, over the course of the game, not put Oliver in a situation where he had to guard Lockett, and that's why they were able to be successful. So kudos to Steve Wilks for just being a better coach, right? Scheming around a player who has proven that he struggles in man-to-man coverage. So one of the touchdowns the 49ers gave up, top of the screen, Ambry Thomas one-on-one against DK Metcalf. And we saw this very same play 2 weeks ago where that was Mooney, and he makes this pass breakup. This time, Ambry just misses. Look, his hand just misses the ball. He's in position. He has the recovery speed to run with DK, so you like to see that. A little stutter there. Has a makeup speed. Right there, the ball can only be in one place, and it is. But from the end zone angle, you'll be able to see here that there's the ball to Brown. So he's getting his hand up right now. This is just, it's really just like a depth perception thing, right? Where he just kind of swings and misses. Strange, but this is a touchdown that the 49ers gave up, one of the few that they gave up. So I think you can live with just missing on the ball when your DB was in position, right? All right, let's talk about Ji'Ayir Brown. So the Seahawks, they have a concept where they're going to clear out one side. That means DK Metcalf's going to run off the screen. From the other side, after play action, Noah Fant, who's a fast player, I think he ran like 4.5 40, he's going to come all the way across and probably going to outrun one of your underneath defenders. Unfortunately for Seattle, it's not against an underneath defender. If it was, it'd be Fred Warner, as you can see, but it's Ji'Ayir Brown. So we saw the play action, and here's Brown right here. He recognizes the over route right away. So he can see Fant going across the middle. He's already moving toward the inside, and once he recognizes this is the only threat he needs to account for, he's all over it. That's where Locke wants to go with the ball, and there's just nowhere to throw the ball. And instead, he has to run out of bounds. Is that a sack? Did somebody get a sack for that? No, he's about a yard ahead of the line of scrimmage. But instead of an easy first down completion that's wide open that we see in Shanahan's offense all the time, Brown has the awareness to not only recognize the route, but to cover it and take it away. So, I mean, some of the plays that he made in this game were very impressive for a rookie. So on this play, it just kind of shows you like how perfect you have to be on the edge to make sure that these explosive running plays don't happen. So it's Isaiah Oliver and it's Ambry Thomas, and they just have to show up better than that. So let's watch 26 here in the slot. There is no way that you can get reach, and by reach I mean let the offensive line get outside of you when you are, inside of a wide 9. So C gap. He gets outside of him. That's just tough to fathom. And that, again, that tells you the processing, right? He's not slower than this person, but he's just not recognizing what's going on. And he's slow to get out there. So instantly, there goes the alley. Warner has to take a poor angle. Instead of either making a pile, collapsing, doing whatever, Ambry runs himself out of the play. Oliver gets thrown to the ground right there. And thankfully, like, there's a safety there to make the tackle. That is just not a good run fit from a 49ers defense, who their corners, and when I think of their corners, I'm thinking like Lenoir and Mooney. They come up and they stick you, they hit you. And there's examples that we've shown every week, and that this is how it's not supposed to look. All right, so it's 3rd and 14. Long play. We're concentrating on Oliver again, and not just picking on him, but these are the plays, like in a playoff situation, that if you miss right there, that's a first down. Didn't hurt them on this play, but in a situation where the stakes are going to be much higher, whether that's maybe 2 weeks against the Ravens and the 49ers need to get off the field and you don't want to give Lamar Jackson another chance, those plays are going to be critical. So Isaiah Oliver, he missed 3 tackles in this game. The play before I just showed you wasn't a missed tackle, but obviously doesn't do his job. But when you have a guy dead to right squared up, you have to make that play. All right, next drive, very first play. Maybe the best play from the game. Watch how quickly Brown recognizes it. So remember, we see tight end going across the formation, instantly split zone, inside zone. He triggers and gets to the ball before the linebacker on that side of the ball makes it to the running back. What? The recognition here is just insane from a player who has not played, more than 2, 3, 4 games? I think they might have found one. And this play would be the example. Interceptions are great, sure. These are the plays that are sustainable, though. And that's why I would be very, very confident, comfortable putting Brown in any situation. This is a hell of a play. So bottom of the screen, this almost looks like an identical play from a couple weeks ago where Charvarius Ward got his hands on DK Metcalf. And I don't remember if he intercepted or broke up the pass, but they didn't call it then. And he got his hands on him the same time Lenoir does right now. But this is a DPI. And I know you can't have your hands on the wide receiver beyond 5 yards. I know, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. This just feels like a bailout for a terrible route. Like, he's cut off right now. He lost. And the DB should have a right to basically cut him off, right? What else is he supposed to do here? So I understand why it's a penalty. I just don't like it. And it fresh off, a week, 2 weeks ago where they didn't call that. So whatever. I want to show it. It happened at the end of the game too, but I thought Lenoir did a really nice job against a player who is huge, who is fast. And like, if you had no idea, Lenoir he looked like the better player. I'm not very big on DK Metcalf as a wide receiver as it is. I think every pass that goes to him against the 49ers is a win for the 49ers. So we're watching the top of the screen. It's Ambry Thomas against Tyler Lockett. Long developing out route. Obviously, you would like to see the pass rush get there, so he doesn't have time to throw this. But watch the break. So Ambry does a good job of recognizing the out route. Right now, he's in position. As he goes to turn and run, if he continues on this path and undercuts, he has a chance to make a play on the pass. But instead, he's going parallel with Lockett, and that way he's never able to get his hands on a pass or, just to be able to drive through and make a play. So I think that would be the coaching point that you would tell Ambry in this situation where you have it, you're in position, now just drive downhill, right? Come through the receiver. Instead, he runs parallel, and he's not able to make the play. So, you can see the athletic tools that Ambry has. It's just more of just experience, all right? Consistency. Top of the screen, Ji'Ayir Brown in the slot. Just going to get a quick flat route, recognizes it, makes a tackle, makes an emphatic tackle. I think that's the story here, right? He's not just wrapping him up and falling off to the side. He's running through him full speed. Man. I think once we get to the playoffs, and not to diminish what Hufanga did, because obviously he was an all-pro. What can you say bad about him? But I think once we get to the playoffs, people are going to start to recognize that 27 is the real deal. So I did a breakdown of this play. It's masterful. They did this last year. D'Amico Ryans, I think he did it against Seattle, if I'm remembering correctly. So Bottom of the screen, when you walk out a linebacker over a tight end, you are giving the quarterback an indication that it's man coverage. When you have a linebacker over a running back, it's an indication that it's man coverage. When you have a safety who is capped over another receiver, it's an indication that this player is probably going to blitz. So it's man-to-man all over the place. This is man by any way you slice it. Instead, once the ball snapped, first of all, if you're just watching the safeties, I mean, they're switching positions, which is kind of wild to say. You have Isaiah Oliver in the slot who turns into the pole runner. Now he's taking away routes over the middle of the field, does a good job of getting depth there and not letting JSN cross his face. Deommodore Lenoir, number 2, does a good job of recognizing, hey, players coming my way, just feeling that fan route. And then to have a guy like Fred Warner be able to carry a slot fade in the event that it's thrown. This is third down too, which is kind of tells you how creative Wilks has gotten. I think really it tells you that it speaks volumes to his ability to lean into the 49ers talent, right? Like you have a unicorn, take advantage of him. You have an athlete, take advantage of him. You have smart, heady players, take advantage of them. And I think that's what Wilks did on this play. So the 49ers get off the field on 3rd and 7, 4th and 2, force a punt. All right, bottom of the screen, Deommodore Lenoir, Demetrius Flannery Fowles, Ji'Ayir Brown. So it's 3-on-3, as you can see, versus the receivers. 49ers have a chance to intercept this pass. 1, 2, and then if he's not there, Brown makes a play. So let's watch the safety, right? Let's watch Brown. He's thinking any vertical threat I'm responsible for. So both of the underneath threats eliminate themselves, and this is where I talk about processing. So whatever the offense threw at him in this game, he ate it up. Like he passed with flying colors. His processing skills, his recognition is about as good as it gets. So you can see, like he's all over this route. If this ball isn't tipped, this is another interception for Brown, or at least pass breakup at the very worst. Instead, Fowles does a good job of falling off, tips a pass. Lenoir does a good job of not chasing this underneath route, falls off. You have to catch this too. Holy smokes, look at that. It's in your hands. And then twice, and then pass breakup. But again, you're seeing Brown and how he sees the field. And I think that's what's making him, such a potentially, I should say, to be a special player. All right, so this is sequencing pretty well. I just talked about falling off of a route, right? So the 49ers are in a zone coverage right here. We're watching the top of the screen. And this is where Ambry Thomas has to feel the other receivers around him. So DK Metcalf bends his route inside. And as you can see, like he has this route right here. What nobody does is have Noah Fant coming in. He needs to understand, again, the new number 1. So DK Metcalf right now is no longer the number 1 wide receiver. He is the number 1 wide receiver. So he needs to fall off this, let Gibson take it. Fred Warner's going to get back into the throwing lane. If we would just focus on Fred Warner real quick, he recognized, oh shit, nobody's out there. I got to guard him. This is on Ambry. And all he needs to do again is just fall off it. Let Warner be underneath. Let Gibson be over the top. And then he takes care of the new number 1, which is Fant. Which again, I think teams, I can see like a team like Baltimore, maybe even Arizona next week, playing with his eye discipline and trying to get Ambry out of position, out of his zones. And that's really, the one way to get over on this 49ers defense. So that's something to keep an eye on, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to put this on here. All right, Ji'Ayir Brown's interception, middle of the screen, just reading what everyone else is doing, staying deeper than the deepest. Quarterback will tell you where he's going with the ball, especially a young, inexperienced quarterback like this. So he's staring at DK the whole time. Brown recognizes that, goes up and makes a play. I felt like the 49ers should have had 4 or 5 interceptions. It feels like that every game, but it's cool that they have a safety who can come down with these plays. Wasn't probably one of Brown's top 3 plays of the game, but he got his hands on a pass, so we're going to show it. Really cool for him, and I think it's going to give Steve Wilks plenty of confidence to keep running the games that he is up front, knowing that he has a safety who can kind of erase any mistakes or just be where he needs to be on these deep passes like that. All right, last one, bottom of the screen here. Lenoir one-on-one against DK Metcalf, and I mean just him feeling this route, right? And we saw Ward make this play a couple of weeks ago. So maybe it's just good film study by Lenoir. If you want to talk footwork, talk technicalities. So right here, that little leverage step that Lenoir takes inside with his left foot to maintain inside leverage is the reason that he's able to make this play on the ball. So right here where he scoots inside and then he drives downhill, Lenoir's gotten much better as he plays more, which, shocker, it's going to be the same for Ambry Thomas. And I want to see Ambry be able to make these kind of plays where he understands that he's winning with more than athleticism. And that's going to happen the more that he plays. But, I mean, the way that they played against DK, the way that they played against Tyler Lockett, in 2 games, JSN, like we didn't even call JSN's name in this game. So it was a very good showing from the 49ers secondary. But I think the real story of this game was number 27 deep. I'm very excited to watch him play over the last month and into the playoffs. So that'll do it for this secondary version. And as you can see, here's the last one that I was talking about where, I mean, it seemed like why reward DK Metcalf for a bad route? But I understand, again, it's, you're not allowed to make contact. But anyway, I appreciate you listening. Please like, subscribe if you learned anything, comment if you want me to break something down. Another position. I'm going to come back with a front 7, and then we're going to bounce over to the offensive side of the ball.